So this is my 3090 Ti, and I remember when I bought this card and did a review on it, I got a lot of hate for this card. I mean, I guess a lot of people just don't like Zotac, which is fine. I mean, I bought it for a very important reason, and it was cheap. I think I bought this maybe 2 years ago, and they had some weird flash sale on Zotac's website. And long story short, I paid like $800 for it, which, considering what they were going for, and then they went up a bunch, I mean, it was a decent price. And this card has been fantastic. In the, I want to say 2 years, almost 2 years, I'll correct on the screen, that I've had this card, I've never had an issue with it. I mean, this thing runs good, stays cool. Fans slightly noisy compared to some other brands that I've used before, but I mean, it's been a fantastic card. Now, one thing about this card is this thing is massive. And if I had to say there was something I did not like about this card, it would be the size. But then again, I mean, as beefy as the heatsink is and the fans, that's what helps keeps it cool and makes it run well. But I mean, it is massive. I'm always limited on what type of case I could use. I've had a couple of case options that I've wanted to use for my rig, but this has limited me. But I like the card. And even at the point where now with the 4090 series, the way this thing performs, I mean, I probably won't upgrade anytime soon. I mean, it'd be a while. But anyways, so I'm redoing my rig and kind of got everything set up and running. But I noticed the temperatures were about, under load, 79 degrees. I think it was 78, 79 degrees Celsius. Not terrible. I could probably do some undervolting and get this thing even quieter and cooler. But I figure it's been almost 2 years. Why not take it apart, dissect it, fresh thermal paste, and give this thing, you know, a fresh lease on life. Yeah, I think that's the word. So now, I've never taken this thing apart. So we're gonna, you know, mess things up together. There's a bunch of screws, so I'm just gonna start just taking everything apart. It's just the right thing to do. 1, 2, 3, I think there's 6. Now, the lower Zotac models, I've taken those apart, like 1070s and 1080s. Those are pretty simple to do. But this one is just, it's proud. It's proud. Alright, so we got all those off. We got some up here in the front. I'm just going to go ahead and delete on them right now because they look like they're attached to the heatsink. And they probably have to come off anyways. Now things are starting to happen, so that's good. I'm nerve-wracking. I know a lot of people, they get nervous about taking apart their graphics card, which I get it. As much as I paid for this and as much as a graphics card equivalent to this would cost, I do get nervous as well. But as long as you're slow and patient and, you know, don't pull, don't pry, just be gentle. Be gentle. Got one more up here that I missed. That's why you just nice and gentle. Don't pull, don't pull. And I think, I assume, maybe, and this is the part that just gets so nerve-wracking with graphics cards. It's just, you know, the wiggle test. Will it come out easily? Will it be the end of the world? Woo! That sound just, folks, it made me cringe. It made me cringe. Now I got some connectors over here, which maybe if I flip it around this way. Then we get this one, which we could wiggle out nice and easy. Maybe. So now the trick typically is to get something like this. Don't pull on the wires, just wiggle the connector nice and easy. It's starting to come out little by little. Bingo. And we have our prize. Now the thermal paste. Ooh, it's dried. I mean, not bad, but you can actually see that we don't have a good spread. In fact, I'm spreading it perfect right now. We could just throw it on and use it just like that. No, we'll definitely use some good quality thermal paste. Now these pads, I mean, they thick. They are definitely thick. So the pads look perfect. I'm not gonna mess with them. Like I've said in many videos, if the pads are good, they're not broken or like crumbling, leave them alone. I mean, you can do some upgrades and get some better pads, but nah, this is fine. Now folks, forgive me, had an interruption, so I don't know where I left off on this video, but I know I cleaned the heatsink, so I assume that we're moving on to this. So let's just wipe this off. I will say the thermal paste, and I may have misquoted it earlier, if not, but it's moist still. Pretty decent, just could have had some better contact. Now, this is extra. Some people, you know, everybody says you don't have to do this. I like to get all this extra old thermal paste out. There are times where I don't do it. I've never noticed a difference, but why not? You know, let's get her ready. Let's get her ready for all the FPSs and better temps. Spray a little alcohol. Take a little toothbrush and kind of break that off nice and easy. Got to be very careful. Now this is the soft toothbrush. You don't want to break those little things on it off. That would not be good. Now this card is relatively clean and dust free, as I keep up with the maintenance on my computers. If you don't do this, you'll have a lot of dust and buildup. Or it just depends on your environment. If you got a lot of pets and, you know, your environment's dirty, then you might have to do this. But considering this is 2 years and I really haven't, actually I've never taken this card apart, I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm just gonna wipe this with alcohol, just in case. Pretty sure I got everything off. And like I've said, 2 years, I mean, there's barely any dust on this. And I use my rig a lot. I definitely use my rig a lot, so wife does a good job cleaning up. Now for thermal paste, the Arctic, the MX6. Some people prefer Kingpin, some people prefer, what's the other one? Thermal Grizzly, Noctua. I mean, I use this on all my stuff. Never had an issue. Alright, so we got this thing applied. Nice good spread. Let's get this back together. And I think it goes like this. And let's marry everything up. Alright, so I'm going to finish the rest off camera and we'll see what the temps looks like. So we're put back together. Everything works, which is always a great feeling after just taking it apart. So as far as temperatures, having benchmarked 30 minutes and we're at about 66. It did spike up to about 68, so 68 degrees Celsius. Before I did have, it was 78 degrees Celsius. So I would say we have a 10-degree improvement. But I must be honest, folks, this is not the original case that this graphics card was in. So initially I did have it in the height Y40, which put the graphics card I mean, it had a decent amount of space, but it puts it this way and it's a little closer to the glass. I think it gives you about a 1/2 inch. In this case, it's facing down. We got a fan blowing air, and there's a lot more airflow in this case. I do believe the thermal paste was dry, but I also believe that having the graphics card with more airflow and in this position, just depending on the case and setup, does make a difference. So was it the thermal paste, which didn't have a decent spread on it, or was it the computer with the lack of airflow? Hard to say. You be the judge on that. But either way, changing a thermal paste, easy maintenance. 3090 Ti Zotac edition is pretty simple to do. So comment down below, let me know your thoughts, concerns, criticisms. Do you think it was the thermal paste, or do you think it was just the position of the graphics card? If you like this video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe if you're not, and as always, let's see what we come up with next.